My name is Noam Zamir. I'm a qualified lawyer in Israel. I've recently passed the QLTS assessments on my first attempt with high marks. Currently, I'm working as assistant professor of law in Hong Kong, and I also practice international arbitration. I did my LLB degree in Israel and then my graduate studies in England at Oxford and Cambridge. Afterwards, I practiced international law and international arbitration in Paris, and here I am now. I've been practicing international arbitration, and I knew that it will be useful to have dual qualification, more specifically European qualification. And since I studied in England, I did my master's degree and PhD in England, it made sense that I will have an English qualification. Well, first of all, I knew that it's necessary to take a preparation course. Based on my experience with the Israeli bar, I took a preparation course then, and therefore I talked to my friends before taking the QLTS and asked them about different preparation courses. All my friends recommended the QLTS School, and I followed their advice. I had a very good experience in general with the QLTS School. They were always very responsive to all my questions. The preparation questions were very clear and helpful, and the tutor later on for the OSCE exam was always available and extremely helpful. There were various very beneficial aspects in the preparation. The textbooks were concise and clear. And for the MCT, the most useful aspect was the online questions. For the OSCE, there is no doubt that working with the tutor was the best aspect of the preparation. For the MCT, I started 3 months in advance, and for the OSCE, I started 2.5 months in advance. Now, it's important to mention that I was working full-time, so I had to plan in advance how I prepare for the assessments. What I've done is that I started my day with 1 hour preparation, and on the weekends I usually dedicated at least one full day and sometimes the whole weekend. Now, just before the exams, I took time off, roughly 2 weeks before each assessment. My firm was very supportive, and I think it's one of the important elements for my success. They gave me time off to prepare before the exams, as I mentioned before, 2 weeks before each assessment, and also during the time that I was preparing in general, they were very understanding and they knew that I have to also prepare for the QLTS assessments. For the MCT, I felt very well prepared. I had enough time and I went over most of the online questions. For the OSCE, to be honest, I felt that I could have used probably another couple of weeks of revision, but I felt prepared nevertheless. It's definitely now easier to find a job in Europe if I wanted to go back to Europe, specifically in England, but not only in England. As a European citizen, I can use the English qualification in order to practice law in other European jurisdictions. It also helped me with my academic career, as I'm also teaching civil procedure in Hong Kong, but the things that I studied in the QLTS are extremely useful. Absolutely necessary. The MCT preparations helped me a lot with the online questions. I felt that I knew what to expect, and I felt that I knew the material before the exam. And the same goes for the OSCE assessment. Thanks to the preparation, I felt comfortable and well prepared. Well, obviously they should start preparing as soon as they can, as soon as they have the dates, as soon as they can already plan their schedule. With regard to advice, for the MCT, I would recommend doing all the online questions. They were extremely useful. And for the OSCE assessment, I would recommend to listen to the tutor and to the tips that you get. I would recommend the QLTS to anyone who is interested in practicing law in England. In addition, if you're interested in arbitration and practicing arbitration, having dual qualification, and more specifically having an English qualification, can be extremely useful, even if you're practicing law in other jurisdictions besides England. First of all, in order to be a good modern lawyer, you need to love your work. You need to be completely dedicated to it and to your firm and clients. And you also need to know how to work with other people to be a good team player. In addition, it's important that you'll know how to work independently. And finally, you need to have a constant desire to learn new areas of laws and to think outside the box.